Yes.
James Sheffield has his guest, Clayton Kirk.
Thank you. At this point, I'll turn the program over to Richard Newburn, and he'll introduce our guest.
Excuse me one more time. Clayton is an Eastern Rotary Club member, and I neglected to say that. So he's a guest and a fellow Rotary.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come back and visit anytime.
Thank you, Bob. Today we're fortunate to have Chief Chris Coley, City Police Chief. As you all know him, he's a former member of our Rotary Club, and in the past has been dedicated his career to law enforcement, during which time he managed to serve a term on the City Council. Chris is received an associate's degree from Middle Georgia State University and his bachelor's degree from Fort Valley State University in Peach County, and that's good enough. And Chief Coley promised me one thing: he's not going to take this public opportunity to announce his candidacy for sheriff. That's what he's promised, at least. We'll find out. Somebody said there's already enough candidates for sheriff. I didn't say that. Somebody said it. But, anyway, we're fortunate to have Chief Coley to talk about the police department and its goals.
Thank you, Richard. It's good to be back with you again. I guess it's been about maybe a year and a half since I last came before you. So it's good to be back, and I appreciate this opportunity. And I will tell you, I am not running for sheriff. I'm very humbled and honored. I've had people come to my house. I've had people send me Facebook messages, and I've had folks come to my office and either ask me or to want to talk about it, and I have to explain to them that that's not me. There's another candidate that has a similar name as me, but it's not me. So I'm happy with where I am and serving the citizens of Cochran and everyone else that visits our city. So just wanted to make that clear. Richard just asked me to come to you and talk to you about the police department and kind of give you an update. It's about a year and a half ago, I think I came before you, and that was when I had just come into the position, and maybe 2 years ago, I guess maybe a little longer than I realized, and so I kind of gave this group an idea of where we were going to take the police department forward, and so it's good to be able to come back before you now and give you an update and answer any questions that you have. I try to leave some time at the end, but one of the things I like for everybody to understand is the structure we have in the department. I know maybe all of one or two faces in here. Hopefully, you know us very well, but I like for people to know, who we are, who your officers are, what makes up your police department, and what are our goals and objectives and the things that we're working on. So let me just tell you that our structure we keep it as simple as possible. We have obviously our administrative division, we have patrol division, we have a CID or criminal investigation division, and I have an animal control division. My command staff, in addition to me, is comprised of Captain Jeff Trawick, who's over patrol, and Lieutenant Heath Williams, who's over CID. And the three of us run the department. our admin division is basically 2 people, me and a secretary. And our patrol division are 8 full-time police officers that are in the patrol side of things. Again, they're directed by Captain Jeff Trawick. Our CID division is 2 detectives, and that's headed up by Lieutenant Williams, Heath Williams. So, and then we have our animal control division. We provide that service countywide through an agreement with the county. And I have one person that provides all of the animal control services countywide, and that's Sergeant Darrell Miller. He does an awesome job. He's a one-man show, and he does a great job. Last year, he dealt with 402 animals right by himself. And so you can imagine that's quite a job for one person. Not only is he responsible for all the stuff that happens out in the field, but he maintains our animal control shelter, which we have out by our, most people have never seen that because it's kind of tucked away. It's out by our wastewater treatment facility. But we have, we're inspected, all government operated animal control facilities are inspected by the Department of Agriculture, the state of Georgia. And so we get routine inspections, and they're always, we always pass with flying colors, and that's just a testament to Sergeant Miller and the job that he does maintaining that facility. So that's kind of us in just a big picture. We're pretty streamlined. We don't have any extra folks. We operate at a bare minimum, but we get the job done. So I just wanted to kind of give you just a quick overview of what the police department is and how we're divided up. When I came to you before, maybe 2 years ago, one of the things that I said to you then that the police department was embarking upon was community-oriented policing. That was a new concept for our police department that we had not done in the past. And we were in the very early stages of implementing that program throughout the department. And I'm glad to come to you 2 years later and tell you that we have fully implemented that program. It's important, most of you know, the police profession is looked at with intense scrutiny today. All you have to do is watch the news, and you'll see that we are constantly being scrutinized, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We welcome that. Only thing we would ask is that it be fairly done. But scrutinizing any government program is fine. I don't have any issues with that. But we are under a microscope, and we're very well aware of that. And the police profession in general can take a lot of criticism. And so everyone knows, that we're kind of, that's what we operate, the way we operate now in today's world. And I just say that to say that makes community-oriented policing even more important. Because the number one, the overall big picture in this program is that we're improving the relationship with the community, between police and community. And that's the overall number one objective. Now there's a lot of different ways you can go about achieving that goal, but that's the number one goal. Is we want to improve the relationship that we have as police officers with those that we serve in our hometown, in our community. And so that's what we do through the COP program. And we do that in a lot of different ways. It's not just one objective that we're trying to accomplish. It's a multifaceted program. There's different approaches to it. But I just wanted to point out a few things. Some of these, hopefully you know about them, but if you don't, then I want you to know about them. And a couple of ways we do that. Number one, the first and foremost, the best way to achieve this is one-on-one, face-to-face contact between the citizen and the officer out here, whether it's in your yard, on a sidewalk downtown, in a store somewhere, wherever it may be. The number one way to build that relationship is when the officer can have contact with the citizen outside the enforcement part of his job. In other words, he's not there for an active incident or active situation. He's just there to say hello. He's just there to have a general conversation. He's there to get to know you, and likewise you to know him. And that's the number one way that we build this relationship with our community. And what we do is our officers go out, all of us go out, and we look for opportunities to do that. Whether it's an officer patrolling through a neighborhood and he sees grandmother or grandfather out swinging on the front porch and he just stops and walks up just to talk, just to get to know them, to have casual conversation. If it's a kid riding a bicycle down the street and he just pulls up beside them and stops to talk. You build that relationship when you haven't been called to provide a service, because that's you're there to do your job and address the situation, and you can't build that personal relationship in those settings. So we take the opportunities outside of those settings to do that, and that is constantly talked about in our department and in our meetings. So that's the number one way we do it. But then there's other ways we reach out to the community as well. We have a Facebook page that is relatively new, and we have about 1,500 followers on our Facebook page, and it grows every week. A lot of information, and the great thing about our Facebook page is it's all police business. There's no drama, there's no rumors, you're not going to get any of that. We've set our Facebook page up so that you really can't, it's a one-way communication. It's information flowing from us out to you. We don't allow really commenting and things like that, because that's where all the other stuff starts filtering into the page. So we've set it up to pass out information to the community that is related to either the police department primarily, city operations as a whole. If there's something of particular interest that needs to get out to the citizens, we'll use our page to do that, along with other city resources. But so we have a Facebook page. We have Nixle. Nixle is our public emergency notification system. And if you're not a member of that, I would ask you to do that. You can get text messages on your phone. You can get emails. And that is primarily just for an emergency notification when there's something going on in the city. And it's real easy to sign up. You can sign up in about 15 seconds right there from your phone. So all you have to do is text 888-777, that's the number. And in the text field, you type Cochran PD, and that's all one word. You press send, you get a response back, put in 31014 for the zip code, and it's done. Or you can hit send and you're done. So we have Facebook, we have Nixle, we have the website. Our website, which is actually a part of the City of Cochran's bigger website for the city as a whole, but we have our own section inside the City of Cochran's website that I believe is very informative and useful. I would encourage you to go and visit if you haven't done so. There's a lot of information on our website, and we keep it current. So that's another outreach tool for us. Inside, on that website, you're going to find some programs that we offer through the police department, such as a house check request. You can sit right there, you can do it, obviously, as long as you have access to the internet. You can access the police section of our city's website. If you're going out of town, be it just one night or a week or for whatever length of time, you can send, it will come straight to me. You can send, Captain Traywick, our patrol commander, and you can send us a request to keep a check on your house. We make it as easy as we can to communicate with you. So there's a house check request form, and there's a bicycle registration form on there. And you may think, well, really, do you need that? We have about 50 bicycles a year stolen in the city. And 95+% of those bicycles stolen are never returned to their owners when we find them, because we don't know who they belong to. There's no, in some cases, oftentimes the crime is not even reported to us. Someone's bicycle goes missing, and oftentimes we don't even know about it. But oftentimes we find the bicycle, and then we don't know who it belongs to. So we donate to church organizations in November of every year about 50 bicycles that we accumulate from the previous year. And we just have them stored in a room, and we have no idea who the owners are. And so we donate those bicycles to a church organization that in turn distributes them back out to folks, to kids that can use them. So anyway, we have a bicycle registration form that is a great tool. Fill it out, bring it by. We permanently file it away so that if your bicycle ever gets stolen, we've got all the identifying information and a photograph to go with it and all of that. And we can go pull the file up and find it. You know, man, there you go, we'll get it back to you. So we have a child is missing program, which is for lost and missing runaway children and things like that. We have a program called Secure the Call, and that is we have cell phones free to anyone who wants them or needs them that we will distribute to folks. And these are cell phones that require no kind of plan. It is totally a free program. You don't have to go out and subscribe, you know, to a cellular plan. And it's solely for the purpose of folks to be able to call 911 if they need help. And so we have that. We also have a cell phone collection site at our office. And then we have a PRIDE program, which is a teenage defensive driving program. I have 2 PRIDE instructors certified, 2 officers, and we go out to the high school and help supplement the high school's driver education program from a law enforcement perspective. And so that's another program we offer. So that's just a few things, a few programs, a few things that we offer through the police department. And there's a lot more information on our website that I haven't mentioned here that you can just browse around and look at. We develop goals and objectives annually. Under Mr. Richard, we meet frequently, at least twice a month. We have at least 24, 25 meetings a year from all the department heads where we sit down together and we develop goals and objectives. All of this is done under a city strategic plan, and we develop visions and goals and objectives for each department. And that is updated annually, and it keeps us as department heads on track, kind of keeps us focused on where we want to be, where we need to be. And so the reason I mentioned that to you is I just wanted to mention a few things that we've done. We're in the 8th month of the year, so we have seven months behind us in our city's fiscal year. And for this year, which started July 1 of last year, I developed 21 goals for my department. And as of last month, we had accomplished 11 of those goals. So we're a little over 50% at about the midpoint of the year. But just some of the things I want to share we've been able to do in this current fiscal year is we've updated our vehicle fleet. And that's an ongoing, it's not a one-time thing, but it's an ongoing thing. But we had fallen a little behind on where we needed to be. And we're now caught up, if you will, so we can be on more of a normal replacement schedule. So we're always looking at that. We were able to install MDTs, which are commonly referred to as MDTs, but it's known as mobile data terminals, or computers as most people call them. All of our patrol vehicles have that now in our patrol division. And there's a lot of different benefits for having computers in your cars. I could probably spend an hour talking just about that, but there's some pretty neat features in there, one of which is officers can always see where the other officers are. Whereas you were kind of riding blind, you only knew where you were, you didn't know where anybody else was. So now the officers have a screen on a map on their computer, and they can see where one another is at all the time. They can do a ton of work in their cars that used to be done in the office. Have to drive back to the office, go sit in them inside, and sit there and get your reports and things like that done. Now they get that done in the cars primarily, and that's just another part of the COP program where it keeps the officer out on the street a lot more, as opposed to having to go back to the office and you spend 2 hours. We easily spend 2 hours a day doing paperwork. So now, we've probably cut that down. We've gained an extra hour and a half out in the community because they can do a lot of work from their vehicles now. Our staffing level, We were able to bring that back up to full staff at the very beginning of this current budget. So that was a very positive thing. We were understaffed for about almost a year and a half, but we're back to full staffing. And then we've accomplished some other things. We've got some ride equipment that we were in need of to protect the officers. We've updated all of our firearms throughout the whole department, our rifles, shotguns, and our pistols. And that was long overdue. So we've got all the officers with the gear that they need now to protect themselves and the community. And we were able to, I mentioned the animal control facility to you earlier. It's a great facility that was in great shape. It was missing one thing that I wanted to accomplish in this budget year, and in November, we accomplished that. We were able to install roll-up doors on all of the kennels, and the importance of that is nights like this week when it's 24 degrees, you can imagine how hard it is to climate control an open air kennel when it's 24 degrees. You can't do it. We literally were hanging tarps around the walls to try to keep the heat in and all of that, and you just can't do it. So we were able to install the roll-up doors on the animal control shelter in November, and we've already had obviously some nights where it was 20 degrees, and Sergeant Miller was telling me a few weeks ago, I think that first night we had in the low 20s, when he came in the next morning, he said it was like 42 degrees in there. So, I mean, hey, that's what we want out. That's what we were trying, the objective we were trying to accomplish, and so that was a great thing. So that's just some of the things that we've accomplished. And before I move on to the next thing, one other program that was high on my list was our K-9 program. The police department had for years had a K-9 program, probably 10 or more years. And about 3 years ago, our K-9 passed away, and the program was not reinstated or restarted or continued along with the previous chief. So this is Django, Officer Django, and we're really proud to have Django. Let me give you just a brief bio on Django. He's a Belgian Malinois, and you can see he's full of energy. Django is a war hero. He served in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2014. So he had about 3 years in Afghanistan. He came, we were able to acquire Django August of this past year, so he's been with us about 7 months, I guess. And Django is a dual purpose dog. Now what that means is, if he happens to walk around, you don't touch him, okay? Django does narcotics work for us, he does tracking, and he does apprehension. You might be hungry. What nobody knows is, did you notice he sat down and he started looking at the bag? Now he's trying to bite it. That's the marijuana I brought in here with me. And I just stuck it over there in the bag. I just stuck it over there in the bag. I didn't want anybody to know it was there because I wanted you to see it working. Good job, Jacob. This is Sergeant Josh Hasty. We were able to recruit Josh with us about 2 years ago, and Josh came to us with about 8 years of experience. Am I right? 16. I'm close. And 8 years as a canine handler. That's what it is. 8 years as a canine handler and about 16 years of experience. And so, as you can see, Josh is our canine handler. He manages our canine program. and this is like his third child right here. And they live together, work together, they do everything together, and I promise you, that dog right there will kill you if you try to hurt him. He is very protective of his handler, and so I just wanted to take just a few minutes to bring Django in, let you see him work, which is something real simple, and we're very proud of him. We're proud to have the program back up and running, and those two guys do a great job with it. So thanks, Josh. Thank you. Appreciate it. This slick floor kind of doesn't work well with paws. And so that's just kind of an overview. Just wanted to hit some high points there of what we've done so far in the first 7 months of this year. Well, I guess I got to wrap up on it. So I'll close out just by telling you that our budget is $873,000, and after you factor in the revenue that naturally, a law enforcement agency generates from fines and things, the net cost to the citizens is about $673,000 a year. And you can get on the computer, you can Google, you can look around, and we provide about as cheap a service as you could find in law enforcement for the city. If you Google other communities that are very similar to Cochran, you'll find police departments with $1 million budget easily. Actually, you'll find a lot of $1.2, $1.3 million budgets, and we're operating at a net cost to the taxpayers of about $675,000. So, pretty good deal for our citizens. And last year we got about $22,000 in grants. We're always looking for grants and ways to reduce the cost to the citizens. So that's it. I wanted to talk about my community report, but it's handed out to you. We were glad to have a 23% reduction, I think, almost 24% reduction in crime in the city for 2015. That's about 102 fewer major crimes. Those are part 1 and part 2 crimes you see on your sheet there. We had 102 fewer major crimes in the city in 2015 as compared to the previous year. And so the guys are working hard to keep the city protected. And unfortunately, I don't have time to elaborate on any of the content of that report, but we have about a 3-minute response time to our calls on average, and we work to keep it at that or less. But I guess I need to wrap up, Commissioner. You stood up, so I think that's a clue.
Well, I wasn't trying to hurry you along. I was just getting ready.
Well, I don't want to keep anybody late for work, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to hang around. But thanks for the opportunity to come and talk to you, and it's good to see each of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was good information. And we're proud of the Cochran Police Department. Guests, you're welcome anytime you care to come and visit with us. I have a brief note from the dictionary project, and they are thanking us for a generous donation of $480 to the dictionary project. And apparently this is written to reflect the status that we donated the dictionaries, and they donated, we donated the money and they donated the dictionaries. Anyhow, I'm going to turn this over to John Riggs and let him handle that. Is there any other items come before the club? In that case, we're adjourned.